Welcome back. President Ramaphosa signed into law the Electoral Matters Amendment Act, which amends the Political Party Funding Act. It, among other things, amends the president's powers to make regulations in certain matters, such as deciding and setting the party funding and donations disclosures threshold and donations upper limit. Civil society organization MyVoteCounts has launched an urgent application in the Western Cape High Court to declare unconstitutional the Electoral Matters Amendment Act. The civic group aims to ensure that limits and thresholds for party political funding are kept in place. For more on this, joined now by the political party funding researcher at MyVoteCounts, Robyn Pasensie. Robyn, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it. It's on the eve of a very monumental election. This proclamation comes into effect almost immediately. That is to say, political parties getting any donations between now and the 29th of May may not have to declare it if the president removes those declaration limitations, as well as taking donations of more than 15 million rand, which was previously the upper limit, if the president so removes it. It's not yet clear if that is the exact move that the president has made, but the new act is signed into law. You nervous about this? Why is that the case?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, Oliver, and thank you for having me on the show. And just to be clear, so the Electoral Matters Amendment Act, as it is now, it was signed into law and it was promulgated on Tuesday, the 8th of May. So it is now the law. And the amendment that this law has brought in has effectively gutted the threshold that you have just been talking about. So presently for political party funding, there are no thresholds. So previously at 100,000 Rand, you would declare this to the IEC, they would make it public, everyone could see what donations there were, and as you rightly said as well, we had an upper limit of 15 million Rand. What we have is a situation where the president must set those thresholds now, but he can only do so after a resolution from the National Assembly. The National Assembly has not put this resolution forward, it has not made a motion to do so, so we are in a free-for-all situation at the moment until the president does exactly that. So you could, for argument's sake, give 100 million Rand to a political party and we would not know. You would be under no legal obligation. And the issue here is we are concerned about the possibilities that private interests are going to get hold of your politics, your politicians, and it's going to undermine democracy. That's the real issue that we have here.
Let's talk about your litigation strategy here. It's going to take a while before you get a court date to be able to hear arguments. You might get it in the next week or the next week or two. I don't know if the secretary of the court has given you a date just yet. But that notwithstanding, are you also seeking, in addition to that, an urgent interdict against the efficaciousness of this act pending the hearing of the main argument and the outcome thereof?
Yes, so we launched an affidavit last year, in May of last year, generally speaking around the transparency issues that we felt were existing in the Political Party Funding Act. But on Thursday, we approached the Western Cape High Court to hear our matter for an urgent interdict specifically around the Electoral Matters Amendment Act. We were due to be heard yesterday afternoon in the court, but the judge has postponed that until next week, Friday. So we have at least another week for this sort of lacuna that exists in the law where any donation can be made. But we hope within the next week that this will be heard within the Western Cape High Court and we will see some sort of ruling. And our the ruling that we would like to see really is that the limits that are not currently declared, that this be said to be unconstitutional, and that it takes us back to the previous limits that we already had in place.
Look, you're right. There is a lacuna between what happens now and the 29th of May. But that notwithstanding, your main argument also wants the president to not have these regulatory powers. What's the substantive argument for that?
I mean, really what we have is the president who is acting both as the president of the country and the president of his political party has a major bias, a major institutional bias where he can set any amount as the limit and the sort of the cap as well. And the issue is that you can set it in a way that your own political party can benefit from this. And so this is the issue that we are having here.
But Robyn, just to pause you there, it's a limitation that's for all political parties. So it's not just one party that benefits from that, and it comes through a parliamentary consultation process. Many may argue that that's already a standard practice in the separations of power between the state and the executive, and the safeguard is there.
Well, there is a guard, but the guard is ineffective. So as I said, the president can only set limits after a resolution from parliament. So he will wait for that. However, it's at his sole discretion. Even if parliament were to say, we advise you to set the limit at such a place, it is again solely at his discretion to set what he thinks that may be. And let us also bear in mind that parliament is made up of representatives, right? And at this particular point in time, the National Assembly Parliament is made up mostly of the governing party. So if anything were to be voted upon, then this also basically comes down again to an issue of bias. So we have no check and balance about what limit is actually not acceptable. So as I said, tomorrow, for argument's sake, if Parliament is to sit and say, you can make a resolution, the president can set it at any amount that he so chooses. And that's a big issue. There's no check on where he may set that.
Yeah. Robyn Pasensie, thank you so much for your time and all the best with your litigation there, and really do appreciate it. We'll follow this very, very closely.